Welcome back. Now, last lesson we managed to make our spawn points over here, and as you can see I've left them all sort of showing up on the ground, but just to, we'll clean that up when we do the polish at the end of the game, but that should help let us know that we've done that. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is when the player wins the game, we're going to make a GUI pop up on the screen, a message that says you win. Okay, it won't be super flashy, but it will let you make that happen. Alright, so let's start by coming over to the starter GUI in Explorer. Alright, now the reason we put this GUI in here, it's because this gets copied to each player. Alright, so you get an individual GUI each, and if when you win the game, it'll pop up on the screen. Now if we were to put it just in the general sort of area, then each time the player won the game, that win screen would pop up in front of you, and if you have 50 people, well, you'd never get to play your game. So that's why we do it. So on the starter GUI, let's click on the plus, and we're going to add a screen GUI. Alright, we'll change the name of this to be you win GUI, so we know what it is. Now inside of this GUI we're going to insert a frame. Alright, and as you can see it's popped up over here in the default corner. So what we want to do, we want to put this right in the middle of the screen. So we will come down to the properties for the frame, and we're going to change the anchor point. Now what the anchor point means is, if I click on this frame again, the anchor point is where the program grabs onto this. So at the moment it's in the top left corner, so that's how it aligns it. We're going to change it so it's in the middle of the frame. Alright, so let's change this to 0.5, so that's halfway, and we're going to change Y to be 0.5, which is halfway. Alright, so that's now, the anchor point is now in the middle instead of the top left corner. Now we want to move this to the middle of our screen. So the way to do that is just come down to our position. Missed it. There it is. And we have some values to work with here. Now when I talked earlier about scale is a little bit like percentage. So and it's a value between 0 and 1. So once again, for each x and y, if we type in 0.5, it brings it to the middle on the x-axis, and then for the y, 0.5, and it puts it directly in the middle of our screen. Right, now we want to change the size a little bit. Now you can do this with the offsets if you like, or you can use scale. Okay, I tend to like to use scale, and in case I haven't mentioned why you use scale, it's because different people use play Roblox on different devices, so this lets it scale to different screen sizes based on proportion. Alright, so in this case let's just try let's go 0.5, so it'll be half as wide, and we'll go 0.5 with this as well, and we get a nice box in the middle of our screen. Now this frame is something that we don't really need to see. We could if we wanted to, but we're going to hide it by just changing its transparency to 1. So now we've got something to hold our messaging. We want to add in a text label. Okay, now we could put in a picture if we wanted, so like an image label, and put an image in there with some balloons or something. However, we'll just use a message in this case, and it's a bit the same thing with our text label now, in that we want to come down and change its size, or its position, sorry, we'll go with first. We'll say 0.5 with it, and we'll put it in the middle of the box. So 0.5. Now see, that's the anchor point. We need to change the anchor point of our text label as well. So we come up the top here to our anchor point and put in 0.5 and 0.5. So next we want to have a look at our font and what we're going to put in the box. So let's change this to, I don't know, something that you like. I'll just stick with Gotham Bold so we don't think about it too much. And the message we're going to have in here is you win, okay, or whatever you want to put in there. Can't type. All right, you win, a couple of exclamation marks. Let's make this bigger so we can text scale this so that it comes up like this, and we could also make the size of the actual box bigger as well. So let's say we say it's set at the moment to this default, so let's change it to 0.5, sorry, in the scale. Let's change that to 0.5, and we'll also get rid of the offset of 50 down the bottom here, and sorry, change that to 0, and we'll change this one to 0.5. Alright, and we get a little bit bigger, and you can even go bigger than that if you wish. Now the background, we don't, I don't like that sort of colour background, so let's perhaps tone it down to say 0.4, and let's make the background colour, which is just above it here, let's make it completely black. And now we change our text colour down the bottom. So like I said, we're not working on design so much here, we're just trying to get something to come up on the screen for you. So come back to here for our text, and then we can pick a nice colour, and there we go. So we've got a message that's going to come up here when the player wins. So once you've got it looking the way you want, which hopefully you can come up with something much better than what I did, we will simply come down here and to our, apologies, to our GUI, and it has enabled. So we just want to turn that off. So when the game starts, it won't show. Alright, so the last thing to do with our GUI is obviously to make it show up when the player wins. So if we come back up to workspace, you'll remember that our fire pit, if we have a look in our script, alright, no, that's not right. My apologies. Where have I put our win conditions? Not the fire pit. No. Was it? Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, my apologies. I got lost there for a second. Here it is. Player wins down here, and this is where the fire gets enabled. So this is a good spot for us to put in our GUI to pop up. So first of all, we need to access that. Now, because this is a player GUI, we want to make use of the player in here. So we're in the fire pit script. Just below the player, we'll create a variable, and we'll say player. Whoops. Okay, create a variable, and we'll call it player GUI for a start. And we'll look in player, and we'll say wait for child. Okay, and it's player GUI. Now, if you look over here, it says starter GUI. However, when the game runs, this is the one that gets created in the player, which I'll show you when that happens in a moment. And once we have that, we're going to use it to show win. Alright, so in the player GUI, we want to wait for child, because we always want to make sure we've got these loaded. Alright, and then whatever we have named this here, so you win GUI. So we can put in here you win GUI. Now we're not changing any text. All we want to do with this is just enable it when the player wins. So we've called it show win. So we come down the bottom here and type in show win dot enabled true. Okay, and that should do it. So let's give it a try, and we first need to play the game and win. So hopefully that all works well. Alright, so we've got a log, another log, they're all spawning nicely. That's great. And now we need a flint and a stone, and there it is. Okay, you win. We've got our GUI that's popped up on the screen. Alright, I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and we'll make a couple more improvements. I'll see you then.